Welcome back, everybody. Of course, you know me. My name is Dr. Keith McNally, and this is the Question Guy podcast. I want to get names right. I'm here with Marlene Mier, and I got her name right. Marlene, she's going to tell us a personal transformation story that's unique to my show because it comes out of a place of humiliation. Now, typically people come and tell their stories because they were crushed for some reason, and typically their life implodes at some time or explodes, depending on how you view it. Wow, and this was in the seventh grade, Marlene?
Seventh grade.
Oh my gosh, you are no, you are 12, 13 years old. So you're just moving into
The
puberty.
awkward, the awkward frog years, right?
Yes, because my
Yeah.
daughter's there. She's 13 years old. Oh my God, what happened?
So I was a very, very spirited child. I came into the world that way, with very controlling, emotionally unavailable parents. So you can tell how well that went in my
Oh,
early formational years. Ironically, Keith, the more I was told I couldn't, the more I said under my breath, "Watch me." I mean, imagine that, right? So
and
um,
moving into your puberty years, yeah.
exactly. I was moving into that space of, okay, I'm going to have to make my way and figure this thing out. Fortunately, I kind of was a natural leader, so that just kind of happened. I went to, and I'm not going to date myself, but I went to school back in the day when you had two tracks of people, right? You had the smart people
Going to college,
and you had the not so smart people.
not going to college.
Correct.
Yeah, I
Okay.
was there too.
Well, I was pretty smart in most things. But let's just say in the math department, I had a black hole in my brain where analytics and numbers should be. It was just my thing, right?
Right.
Well, I was put in the smart track. Okay, let me just reference that by saying I was in a class with that we graduated 150 people in our class, and there were five valedictorians. They all just had straight 4.0s. So that'll give you an indication of the class of smart people I'm in now in the math class in the seventh grade.
Wow.
So in the seventh grade, you're learning about set theory, open set, closed sets, congruent sets, all of that
Mhm.
nonsense, right? And
Yeah.
these really hard equations. Now, for somebody who numbers is not my first, second, or third language, that was hard enough.
Yeah.
But then you start throwing all these abstract equations in there, excuse me, and lost.
A plus B
Well,
equals C, right? Yeah.
I had a very macho guy teacher in the seventh grade who thought it was really cute to put myself and three of my classmates up against the wall in the classroom. And he called us the empty set because there was nothing there.
Hmm.
Then he would have everybody, go up to the board. It's like public speaking, only worse, because now you have to perform high level math equations standing in front of the rest of your peers who actually understand what's going on. And those of us in the empty set were soiling ourselves the entire time. And he'd wait until the very last end and he'd say, "Okay, empty set, you all come up here because I know not one of you could get it right. So you're going to need each other. So you all get up here."
And for those of you who don't know, that's what teachers were like back in the day. I
Right?
was there too.
Oh my goodness. Keith, I was so humiliated. And even you could even there was so much humiliation in that room that even my peers were uncomfortable with it.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
would apologize for this teacher's behavior. I really feel sorry for you. That was awful. That must have been hard. And, yeah, definitely. But in that moment, Keith, I made a vow that no one, not anyone, would ever feel dismissed, not seen, and important in my
Wow.
room.
And you were only 12, 13.
I was 13 years old. Yep.
Yeah.
I decided I was going to be a teacher and I was going to empower people and see the beautiful uniqueness in every single person, no matter what part of the set they lived in.
Wow. How did you go about doing that?
Well, funny enough, okay, so now I had a wonderful math teacher in the 8th grade who fortunately for me tutored me because I had missed a whole year, right? Because I couldn't do anything. I was
Yeah, you were
paralyzed.
lost.
Talk
Yeah.
about fight, flight, or freeze. I froze. I couldn't do a thing. So he kind of caught me up, and then I was able to catch up math skills, whatever.
Good.
I because of that, I kind of doubted that I wasn't smart enough to go to college, but I knew that college was my ticket out of my small town and really the only chance I had at a future. And I wanted to matter, Keith. And I knew if I was going to matter and I wanted to do this and I knew I wanted to teach, I had to go to college. So it's like, okay, pull up your big girl britches. We're going to college. Well, I got into college. Funny thing happened in college. When you're studying something that you're really passionate about, you do really well. I had to take math as a freshman in college, and I was terrified. And fortunately, I had a really good teacher I went right up to him after the first day and I said, look, I'm paralyzed when it comes to math. I'm here. I'll do my best. I need a tutor. Can you get me a tutor? Absolutely. So I had a tutor from day one. I had called myself out from day one. So he was very genuine with me and very protective with me. I got a B in high school or in college math, which, that was better than an A in any other thing in my world. But yeah. And then I kept going. And then when I went to graduate school, I too got a 4.0. Funny thing, what happens when you're really passionate about studying something that you really believe in.
Well, let's talk about that. You said you wanted to become a teacher.
Yes.
Now, many people go into a field not knowing the full parameters of what that really means.
Mhm.
We have these ideals with the L that, oh, a teacher is this fantastic thing. I'm going to empower the world. Which was your mission? Did that actually happen? You got your degrees
It
and
did, actually. It really did. I went in as that teacher that I said I was going to be, and I brought loving presence to it. And I brought respect, and I brought, care into the classroom. And funny thing, Keith, you say that's the way school was back in the day, and that is the way it was.
it
I'm
was
the
there.
teacher, I know, shut up, sit down, or what, and on a whole lot of other not nice things. um but
And I went to Catholic school.
oh, even worse, I'm sorry. Yeah, the ruler came out. But here's the thing, respect is something you earn, and when you go in coming from as that teacher at the front of the class, right? Which I moved throughout the room all the time. And my teaching was very experiential. And I taught health education and physical education. So it kind of
Okay.
had to be, right? Health education was all about how do we take care of this beautiful vessel that we're moving around in? And physical education is how do we move our body and understand how we do that? And I expanded that whole thing instead of the traditional, dodgeball and kill each other with the ball, right?
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was
that's what it is.
Yeah, it
You
was
put somebody
things
in the
like
middle and you're hurting them.
cross country skiing. It was yoga. It was we did aerobics. We did floor tennis. We did self defense. Lots of different things to really incorporate movement for life and the joy of moving one's body. Because let's face it, second to math, maybe even first, humiliation happens in the physical education gym a lot.
Well, can we go back to something that you just said, that I don't ever remember being in school, at least it wasn't in the Catholic school. Yoga
Mm, yoga.
in school?
We brought yoga into school.
Can you talk about that?
Yeah, it was really interesting. I was not a yoga teacher, but I knew a yoga teacher locally who would want to come in and volunteer, and I taught high school. So she came in and did a whole module essentially on beginning yoga. The kids loved it. Even the guys, even the big jocular guys loved it because she really framed it, Keith, as a space where this is going to make you allow you to feel and be more present in your body. There's a theme here. Can you see? Allow you to be more present in your body so that you can fill in the blank, shoot the basket better, hit the ball better, catch the pass better, play field hockey, soccer, swim, whatever it is. When you embody yourself and learn how to breathe properly, miracles happen.
Well, let's talk about the miracle on the other side of the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
You came in with a mission
Mm-hmm.
because of your own pain.
Mm-hmm.
At some point in time, you had to get past your pain because you just can't be running, I'm going to be the best teacher and it be a facade. You had to grow and change yourself, but you
True.
haven't mentioned any of that yet.
No, I haven't, but I will tell you this. I was fascinated with psychology. I've always been fascinated. So I did a lot of studying in psychology, and I wanted to do my master's degree in counseling, because here's the other thing that happens when you show up as a teacher in a public school with loving presence. Everyone, and I mean everyone, comes to you in confidence, right? Even the teachers were telling me their secrets. I was this young kid. I was 24, for crying out loud, teaching, and people were telling me their secrets, which is great, but I needed some tools. So first step, of course, you got to go to therapy. Before you're going to be a counselor, you got to go to therapy.
You got to
So
deal with it.
I
Yeah.
did some pretty extensive therapy and wound healing and all of that, and then to get myself to a different level. And then I was able to find some other modalities that I also utilize, such as breath and yoga and Tai Chi and other things. And then as we progressed, then the world of coaching became evident, which is then when I really started, believe it or not, my deep dive into my own personal transformation.
So, because this is the show that talks about personal transformation, can you give us some insight?
I sure can. Coaching really is, it asks the most important question in my understanding is, who are you really? Behind and underneath all the labels and everything you've been conditioned to believe you are and told you are and humiliated into thinking you are, there is a unique miracle under all of that. Who are you really? And coaching, if it's done properly, is really all about unpacking that. And all of the ways that the conditioning that we received and the traumas that we've had get in our way of that ultimate expression of this beautiful miracle and unique person that we really are.
We like to put labels on ourselves. It gives us a sense of understanding, value, and purpose. But when you talk about just being a person,
Mm.
people get lost because we don't have words for that.
No, we don't.
So, are there words for being somebody? Who are you? Who am I? Because you're
Yes.
not putting your, this is where we remove the title. I'm
Right.
a doctor. I remove that.
Right.
And that's not me. It's part of my persona, but
Right.
it's not Keith.
Right.
So how do we get into, without giving away your coaching secret sauce, how do you help people find out who they are?
There are
Because
many tools.
we're gonna give away the secret sauce on Coach's Corner, but
There we go. We are going to give
today
away the secret sauce.
today's about you.
Today's about me. You really ask yourself all those questions. Who am I without all these labels? I mean, what really speaks to me? What am I naturally just drawn to? So if you say, okay, I'm a doctor, a question I would ask you would probably be is, well, what is it about being a doctor that really it makes you feel, fully expressed, or what about that is really important to you?
Can we engage in that conversation real quick?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So my goal, I never done this before. This is pretty cool.
Fun.
My goal in becoming a doctor,
Mm.
actually a long time ago when I was still in college, I always say I wanted to be a real doctor, a medical doctor. But when I found out you had to like go in and touch dead people because you had to cut them open, that, wa- that was it for me. I'm
Yeah.
out. But I had to figure out a way to becoming a doctor. And so what I wanted to really do was do research. I like finding things out. I like
Mm.
investigating and discovery. Um, I don't do, and I thought it was as a very academic process. There's a way of doing it academically. I did my dissertation, and it was a lot of fun, but that was why I became a doctor. But I no longer do that in the way that I thought I would be doing that as a job. Like that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a researcher. I didn't care what I was researching. I wanted to be a researcher. I like uncovering information. That is the deepest part of who I am. And guess what I do now?
You uncover information. I was going to say, and this is why you're the question guy and you
I
host.
uncover information, but it's everybody else's information. We get deep into their soul and their heart and their pain, and we share that so that other people can not feel alone.
Well, and here's the beautiful thing, Keith. You actually got to be the doctor without all the gory stuff because in helping people the way that you do, become exposed and aware of different things to help with the traumas and the kicks that life gives us and the disappointments and the heartbreaks, and we've all had them, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the hopelessness and the despair and the isolation, and I mean we could go on. The truth is nobody heals in isolation, so we must find a way to each other, and that is the great path. How do we find our way to each other?
That's a rhetorical question that I don't have an answer for. Do you have an answer? Do you have even a suggestion of an answer?
I liken it to being a lighthouse.
Okay.
I believe that when we show up completely who we are and we stand in that in full presence and full embodiment, then we're that lighthouse. You're doing that right now. You seek, you look, you shine your light on people that you find fascinating, and then you reach out and you say, I find you really fascinating. Would you care to be on my interview? And I'd love to chat with you. Who's going to say no? I didn't say no. I thought that was a fabulous question.
But I like the words that you just used. Can I use them from now on? I find you
Mm.
fascinating and I want you to be on my show. That is the best thing. I've not approached it that way, but that's definitely in my heart.
Well, and I felt that in your heart because the way that you respond, the way that you reached out to me, and the way that you responded to me when we had our first conversation, let me know that you were really interested to understand who I am and how I express that purpose and mission in the world.
So you went from, I'm going to switch gears now.
Sure.
You went from being a teacher to
Yes.
therapist to coach. Am I getting the linear path here, right?
Well, I would, you're going to love this one. I started my master's degree in counseling and then very quickly realized that it was very Western medicine based and kept people stuck.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. For
Okay.
under the medical model. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Definite Western medical model, which is so not me at all.
Okay.
And even then, as a young person, it's so not me. I believe in root cause. I believe in balancing ecosystems. I believe if something is off, there are contributing factors to that. So I saw therapy and experienced therapy as just a way to keep people stuck in their story. Well, guess
Mm.
what? Our story is our past. If you're going to move forward in your life, you got to lay down your story and lay down the labels and step forward. So that wasn't going to cut it. Well, I could have, being the literal everything I should have just gotten the stupid shingle and then I could have put it up, and then I could have done, prior to coaching being coaching, I could have actually counseled in that way. But I, at that point, was still too literal and didn't understand how I could pull that off. So when I told my professor I was leaving the therapeutic world, he said, what in the world for? You're a natural. And I said, well, it just keeps people stuck. I can't do it. He goes,
Did you
well,
use those words?
what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to be a life coach. And he
Oh,
looked at me
did
and
you
he
use
said,
those words? Like
I
it
did,
keeps people stuck?
1987.
Wow.
And he
Yeah, we
says,
didn't even know what life coaches.
what the
Yeah,
hell is a life coach?
life
I said,
coach.
well, I don't know, because it doesn't exist yet. But I think it's kind of one part teacher, one part guide, one part kind of therapist, but not really.
Wow. There's
Then
no,
coaching wouldn't be a thing until 1995, by the way. That was when the first coach training program was actually born.
Yeah, but for you to actually say something like that to your college professor or
Hmm.
whoever and say, what the hell
Yeah.
are you? And he's thinking, what the hell are you talking
Yeah,
about?
that's exactly what he said. What the hell is that? I said, well, I don't really know. I just know that it's just a hybrid way of working with people, and that's what I want to do. Now, had he been
And
smart, he could have said, finish your degree, and you can practice like that. But he
you just
too
said it
was
was
just
1987. We don't even have words to figure that out yet.
no, we weren't that awake yet. We were not
No,
that
we
empowered
don't
that.
have
It
words.
was
But
this
now you're
way.
a coach. You are
Correct.
a what kind of coach? What are you?
I'm a life coach. I'm a certified life coach. I've held international coach federation certification now for 10 years, which is the international gold certification board, which is not an easy credential to get, by the
Wow.
way. And I have been professionally
Congratulations.
coaching since 1990. So I've been at it almost 24 years now.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So who do you coach
20.
then? I mean, because you're not like coaching people like me. You've surely up the hierarchy in coaching somebody like presidents and such. Yeah.
I haven't I haven't coached presidents, but I have coached a lot of people in the C-suite.
Okay.
So people who were that tends to be my attracting factor. Very high performers, very mission and purpose based people, very servant leader people. They look great on paper, their life looks great on paper, and they are depressed, they're overweight, they feel like somehow it's all what am I killing myself for, all their words. And so with coaching, they find the
Wow.
balance of where they left themselves as they climbed that ladder to the C-suite.
Wow. That's awesome. Well, like I said before in our pre-call, I want you to leave something with our audience. But you flipped the coin on me.
It's what I do.
Oh my goodness. What are you leaving with our audience? This is the most different conversation I've ever had. What are you leaving with our audience?
Heath, really the best thing I can leave with your audience is a question. And my question to each and every person who is listening or will listen is this: who are you really? When you lay down the labels, you lay down the conditioning, who are you?
Marlene, with that, we're leaving the conversation. I appreciate you joining me on the Question Guy podcast. I do want you to come back for Coach's Corner, maybe for some other conversations as well. For those of you who are watching and listening, we thank you for joining us. Take care.